Hello and welcome. It's yet another episode of A Star to Steer Her By, your favorite Star Trek watching podcast. And we are still watching Star Trek The Discovery.
Woo!
The episode this week is an Obol for Charon. I have no idea if I pronounced any of those words correctly.
Yes. Charon is right. I was like, I don't know if it's Obol or Obol or Obol or I think it's clue.
Obol.
Okay.
But
a bowl for Charon. Which is episode 4 of season 2 of Discovery. But our episode of this particular show is number 388.
Woo! Woo!
And after 388 episodes, you know that this is Ames.
This is Caitlin.
This is Jake.
This is Chris.
And this is Carl. Hello.
Hello, Carl.
Oh, wow.
Guest star Carl joining us through the Universal Translator, which is about to go absolutely amiss.
Wow.
All right, jumping in, let me give you a quick synopsis of an Obol for Charon, and disclosure, like, this is probably my favorite episode of Discovery so far.
It's a good one.
It might, I forget how the rest of the series even goes. It may hold out to the end, but yeah, well, this is going to be a fun one. I'm glad I got to introduce this week. So we go and we pick up number 1. Hey, look at that. We have number 1. We got our first appearance of Rebecca Romaine on Star Trek. We'll never see her again for sure. But she has info on the whereabouts of that deranged escape murderer Spock.
That green-blooded hobgoblin.
That fucking guy. Then there are like 3, perhaps 4 A-plots this episode, so I'm just going to take them in order of preference.
Makes sense.
On our way to find Spock, this big old space sphere grabs the Discovery out of warp and gives us bird flu or something. So now the Universal Translator...
Topical.
Yay! I was going to say measles, but bird flu is funner. So the Universal Translator is now on random mode, and Saru comes to help translate, but he's also sick. Hey, let's dive into his plot now. Turns out the sphere has activated Saru's Vaharai, which we learned about in the short Trek episode The Brightest Star, and is always fucking fatal. And Burnham has a cry about this while we jump to a third fucking plot. So over in engineering, everything is broken utterly, and May escapes, that bitch, and attaches herself to Tilly again. Reno and Stamets stop bickering for long enough to horrifically drill a hole in Tilly's skull while singing classical music. But this allows us to talk to May, who turns out to be a Giuseppe, which is a multidimensional fungus who lives in the mycelial network, and all she wants is for you fucking assholes to stop polluting my environment, and they're like, why didn't you just fucking say so, bitch? Anyway, this gives Burnham an idea, because of course she's been there to have an epiphany about this. Right. Maybe that virus sphere is also just trying to communicate. So Saru stops dying for just long enough to go convince Pike that we should listen to the sphere. And it turns out to just be this old boomer who doesn't know how to use this newfangled Nintendo system of ours.
Okay, boomer.
All it wants to do is pass along its diary to someone before it dies. So that's nice. And then it does.
Could have just sent us a link to its live journal like everybody else.
Yeah, but he doesn't have Wi-Fi. He couldn't figure it out. But now Saru has to go off and die too. But wait! It turns out that the Vaharai doesn't actually kill you if you just let it run its course, evidently. Hooray! The Bowl have been lying to the Kelpians all this time. Those guys. That's over now, so let's go continue our journey to find Spock. Oh, and May kidnapped Tilly again, but we'll be teased for that for next week. The end!
Woo.
Hooray!
Yeah.
So, before we dive into, like, stuff for real, how fucking weird is it to be an astronaut and your favorite song is about an astronaut dying in space?
How fucking weird is it that it's a song from the present day when the show is airing? Well, not present day, but you know.
We should have definitely got some weird EDM music with like an alien language, like some kind of Klingon house techno.
Or like that the music that they were playing in that bar in Descent.
With the four-armed woman?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe that hasn't been written yet, because that's the late 24th century.
That's true. That could be.
I'm trying to like parse some Klingon to do Hast. Like, Pitok. Like, but I don't have any more.
But that's Star Trek tradition. This one at least was not just like public domain classical. They might have actually had to like get rights or something.
I don't know.
What's
Whenever
wild?
And it's also like not the Beastie Boys again.
Yeah,
Yeah.
whenever it's a song that,
That's-
it's there for us to recognize, it takes me out of it, though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like you got an elbow, like, hey, it's that song.
Yeah, but I like it didn't occur to me the first time because I was just surprised, like, oh, it's something semi-contemporary, and it's a song I do quite like. But watching it this time, I'm like, this is literally a song about someone dying in space.
Oh, you don't know. I'm
What
just kidding.
a
It
weird
totally is.
song for someone in Starfleet to love.
You know what's weird? I remembered that this was her favorite song. I have remembered almost nothing about this fucking show. But when Stamets was like, what's your favorite song? I was like, isn't it Space Oddity? And then 2 seconds later, she's like, what kind of shirts you wear? Or whatever. And I was like, oh my
What's
God.
Weird is I remembered this scene, but would have sworn it was from a later season. So
I just
Maybe
assumed
there
this
really
whole
is a
episode
temporal
was
anomaly
later.
here.
Could be.
Mm.
Yeah, because when I was looking at like the ratings for episodes, I assumed that this was going to be like the highest rating of the season, which is, there's a later episode that has a higher rating. So I assumed that was this one. And then this one popped up to this week, and I was like, oh, no, this is a very good episode.
Yeah. I think to your point about there being sort of a lot of A-plots, I think the reason it doesn't feel as crowded as other episodes, say, was it last week or 2 weeks ago where there was just too fucking much, is that they're kind of semi-thematically related, which
I love
think
that about
helps.
this, yeah.
It's like, all right, yeah, there's a kind of a bunch of plots, but they're all sort of serving a central idea.
Yeah, the
And I
idea
think
that
that's-
communication is key and learning to listen to people when
Yeah,
they're trying to
I was
communicate
thinking
with
more
you.
of the death and dying thing.
Yeah,
but
that's
yes,
another
your
plot, yeah.
positive version.
And I really think this is kind of what the series has been missing up to this point a little bit, which is just like story structure. And I'm glad that you guys like this episode so much, because I was starting to watch season 2 of Discovery. I decided, I'd watch like an episode or two. I ended up watching up the whole season in one day.
Oh God,
And
that's a rush.
Yeah, it may have been a cry for help, but
You could have reached out, Carl.
I think that the fact is, Discovery season 1, I thought had a lot of very good elements, but it really ended with a car crash where they just plain ran out of time.
Yeah, it was a rush
Yeah.
job.
And-
You gotta
we thought
squeeze it
that
in.
I think one of the reasons for that is, season 1 really tore through like 4 showrunners, as I recall. Brian Fuller comes in, Brian Fuller leaves. Those 2 people come in, whose names I forget. And then at season 2, I feel like Kurtzman is just saying, "All right, we need to reboot this thing." And one of the most
Fire more writers.
hire more writers.
Fire them too.
And fire more writers, and make some choices. And I feel like over the last few weeks, we have sort of seen them revisit methodically pieces of the Discovery world and put them in good contexts.
So, Carl, before we go on, it occurs to me, have you seen Discovery? Like, have you seen all of it, or are you kind of watching the first time now?
I have not seen season 5.
Okay.
But I watched this throughout its normal, regular airing.
Okay. Yeah, I realized because I had not asked before, and it's always important to know what context you're coming in with.
Yeah.
Well, and Carl specifically reached out to me and was like, hey, season 2 is my favorite season. And I was like, oh, damn.
Yeah.
So.
Thank you for indulging me.
Oh my
no
God,
problem.
please, we'll
It's so
indulge you
good.
anytime.
And it's sort of, I guess I sort of feel that Discovery's reputation has suffered unnecessarily. And I'm not entirely sure why. But I think it makes a lot of sort of oddball choices that it commits to in a way I personally love.
That's a good way to put it, speaking as someone who is probably going to be the most diehard apologist for this show through to the bitter end.
Yeah.
And I won't be wrong about this, because unlike Enterprise, this is much more recent. Enterprise, I was wrong. Terrible show. Take it all back.
No, it had
Trip.
redeeming
Trip.
quality.
Trips abs.
Redeeming
Yeah.
quality. Just Trip,
It
yes.
had a redeeming quality.
Yeah.
Well, okay, 2 to Paul's bum.
Oh, and Mayweather's guns. Anyway.
Oh, damn. Yeah, Mayweather's guns.
But yeah, I think I can understand, like, because it kind of is just tonally insane, this show, like, throughout its run.
It's whiplash-inducing very frequently.
Yeah, and I personally am okay with that, but I can see why a lot of people would be like, would you please pick Elaine?
Who's Elaine?
Yeah.
No, I know.
I do like, this episode for me definitely, I don't know. I was kind of whiplash last week, if you'll recall. I did not love...
That was Point of Light last week?
Yeah, with all the Klingon stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that was...
God, the soap opera episode?
Well, that was one where, and Carl, this has not gone live yet, so you will have not heard our rumination, but that was an issue where it was like, the multiple plots, I think, suffered from not being thematically related, and as we said last week, should have been more than one episode.
Yeah, like trying to pack all that into one episode just didn't work for me.
Not at all.
But I did like the previous week's episode, which was the one with the church.
Yeah.
New Eden, fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really like that one, and this one I liked a lot too.
Pacing that was better, yeah.
Yeah.
Because again, I mean, you could look at this and be like, okay, there's a lot of plots here. Like, did we really need to do all three of these big plots in one? But because they're thematically linked and they sort of come together. I mean, the Tilly plot does kind of feel a little bit separate from the rest of it.
But that's where Michael Burnham had her epiphany.
That's true. It does. It helps Michael Burnham figure it out. But yeah, so I did like this, and I liked all the Saru stuff quite a bit.
Oh, definitely.
Except I did not really care for the prosthetic they used for his chest piece because it just looked very
like
unnatural.
A prosthetic.
It looked very fake, and
he looked like he was made of roots or something. It was bizarro.
Yeah. That's probably what they were going for, but again, it didn't look real in a way that, I mean, obviously it's not. It looked like makeup.
See, this is where your guys' experience suffers by watching on a TV. If you watch it on your cell phone on your way to recording, it looks really good.
That's the thing, though. They want the show to look like a movie, so they probably want you to be watching on the biggest screen you fucking own.
Yeah, but I mean, honestly, Saru looked like something that you'd get at like Spirit Halloween or something.
A little bit.
Like one of those plastic things you kind of wear like a bib.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm Iron Man.
They probably worked a little contour into that to like make it look more realistic.
Yeah.
It was
actually
just one of those those bathing suits that make it look like you're like topless and just have like a 12-pack. It was probably one of those that they just painted over or something.
And I also despised Linus. Still, I cannot forgive the sneeze because that was just fucking disgusting. So fuck that guy.
A foreshadowing sneeze, that must be said.
So I do want to say too about the whole Saru thing is like, I remember when this first aired, it was like going in with the assumption of like, well, of course he's got plot immunity. He's like a main character.
Yeah, but then, does he? Oh no, does he?
You're like,
you worry when it's your first time watching through.
I was genuinely like, are they gonna like catch us all off guard and fucking kill Doug Jones? And to the credit of like everyone involved, the episode, the actors, like this time, even knowing he's gonna be fine, it was still a really like, I was still a little bummed during the scene. It was like, I know he's fine. Why am I sad?
Oh yeah, it was acted so well.
It's because he's an amazing actor. That's why you feel sad, Chris.
Yeah.
No, I know, but normally like when you've seen something sad before, you're like, yeah, I know how it turns out though, so we're good.
Oh, not me. Come on now. How many times have we watched WALL-E and I cry every time? The acting is superb in this.
Yeah.
And just... Plus, like, you don't really... I feel like it's the only time we ever see Saru have, like, any physical contact with anybody. So I feel like you're getting to see, like, what is going on over here?
Him shirtless is disturbing. It really is.
Yeah.
Did he have nipples? I didn't even look.
No, he had like this very alien structure thing going on.
Oh yeah, no, I remember looking at his torso and being like, meh, but I didn't look for nips. But he shouldn't have nips because I'm assuming he's some kind of egg species. Crab thing.
Everything is crab.
I did like, even though I don't think, if the torso prosthetic probably wasn't great, I did like the makeup they used to make it look like he was sweaty.
Yeah, I was thinking that.
Beads of sweat. That looked pretty good.
I imagine there was just a lot of spritzing Doug Jones with a water bottle between takes.
I don't even know if it was that, because they had to they applied what looked like little beadlets.
Oh, wow.
That were like a different color.
They did it in post. It's all CG.
They could have.
CG sweat.
Oh, like the arm, rank bands,
rank bands.
on the sleeves.
Yeah.
I think this show is pretty clearly a landmark moment for the Michael Saru friendship.
Yeah.
Which I think is a key element of the show.
Yeah.
And it's not just that like both these actors are very good, but like, you think back to season 1 and like Saru is literally afraid Michael's going to kill him much of the time. Like
they were not friends.
There's that line in this, Michael says, "There's no judgment between us." And I couldn't help remembering like one of the early episodes where Saru was like, "I don't think you mean harm, but I think there's a good chance you're going to kill me anyway." Well, bye. And it's like,
okay, there's no judgment between us, except that whole time last
Right.
season. But aside from that, no judgment.
Anymore is
if
implicit.
you become friends after that, that's something.
Yeah.
That's true. It's a lot to get through.
Yeah, I think like in season 1, they definitely had a journey starting with, you are dangerous, I think was like the literal quote.
One of your many mutinies will get us killed.
To, sort of a tentative trust built between them. And now it kind of comes full circle to that, them being very, very close, which kind of continues throughout the series, if I recall.
Yeah. It's like, we I think in the past talked about they were like kind of like rival siblings. Now they're like siblings who never got along, who now that they're adults do.
I'm wondering though we watched the short trek, so we saw the Kaminar
the
short trek that introduced the Vaharai. I'm wondering if you hadn't seen that, do you feel like they gave enough in this episode background wise that you would understand what was going on?
I thought so. When I first saw this episode, I had not seen that short track.
Oh, that's good. That's good perspective to have then.
And I think they gave the perfect amount, partly because those scenes are sort of comparatively long by New Trek standards. And, no matter how good a special effect might be, it's always compelling to just have two actors like talking about important stuff in the same scene. Like, there's a reason like Shuttle Pod 1 is a classic episode of Enterprise for that reason, I think. And a lot of one of the things that has sort of bothered me about recent TV is I kind of feel like it feels like a lot of the times the actors are on like different coasts and edited in later. Possibly a relic from like COVID protocols or something, but like I believe these two actors are like in the same.
Yeah.
I also don't think there was a ton of new exposition that we really needed to learn that I think would have taken us out of it, because we already knew the Kelpians are a prey species.
Yeah.
We knew that the threat ganglia were linked to their fear response.
Yep.
And I think the only new things we learned was, that the Vaharai is when they die, and what the Ba'ul is, which they kind of like mention, but you don't really need to know it yet.
Not hugely. What's interesting is actually, like, if you think about it, the short trek itself, that's when they first mentioned the Vaharai, but it's in this one that he gets into more detail about what specifically happens.
True.
So in a way, like, they name dropped it, but this is actually where you learn about it.
Yeah. Well, we know from the short trek that you basically become a sacrifice, so to speak, once you get the Vaharai, and that's what he escaped. But he knew at the time when he left Kaminar that it was only a matter of time before he would have this happen to him. And his assumption was that, when this happens, obviously I can't just go get slurped up by the Ba'ul.
Yeah.
So I'll probably just die, alone.
His last will and testament.
And what a cold idea, really. Like, to evolve into prey.
Yeah.
But it turns out they were
Phlox
tricked.
would be masturbating furiously if he met these people.
Oh my god, fucking
like, oh my
Phlox,
god,
man.
they've evolved to fucking die!
What's interesting, too, is, like, obviously in the real world, part of the reason the Kelpians look the way they do is because there's a human being under all that plaster.
What?
But you could also read it in world as, like, we should have known they weren't naturally a prey species. Their eyes face forward.
No, I liked it because Keith DeCandido made a pretty good parallel in his review. in that, the Baul telling the Kelpians, like, oh yeah, this is the last stage of your life and you're going to die, so we'll just beam you up and probably eat you. As if you were telling, like, a caterpillar who's about to go into a cocoon, oh yeah, this is when you're going to die, so we'll just kill you. And then they would never learn what the fuck a butterfly is. He
does talk about, though, like, the Kelpians that don't get sucked up eventually go mad. And it's like, so does that mean no one's ever actually seen that?
That's a good question.
Like, that's the one thing that's a lot, is, like, in theory, you'd think somebody maybe would go through their Vaharai and be like, fuck this noise, try to avoid the Baul, and then the ganglia would have plopped off. They'd been like, the fuck?
I'm sure their priest would drag them kicking and screaming or something.
Yeah, so presumably that's just a lie that was perpetuated by the Baul.
Yeah. It does make me wonder, like, it's odd that they would be evolved as prey species and have this trait of the ganglia coming off. So, like, what it makes me really interested in what the Baul are and what their motivations are, because obviously I would assume the Baul must know that Kelpians will eventually, go through puberty and drop their ganglias. So it's clearly an intentional act by the Baul to like get them, cull them before this happens. And it kind of makes me wonder, are they like, and also from the Mirror Universe, we know that Kelpians are delicious. Mm-hmm. So it makes me wonder if if like Kelpians didn't actually evolve as prey species, or if they were like bred or cultivated in a way to like, and we know from Mirror Giorgio that the ganglia are the tastiest bit. So obviously you wouldn't want a Kelpian
post Vaharai.
Like if you're going to be eating Kelpian, you'd probably want them at their biggest. Like you wouldn't want to eat baby Kelpian because that's a little tiny ganglia.
I don't know, man. Veal.
So you might want them right before they're going to lose those delicious ganglias. So it makes sense, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we don't know what the Baul are doing. I'm just speculating, but it would be fun.
We'll find out soon.
Yeah, the Baul are just like, yeah, we run the biggest fast food chain in this side of the Alpha Quadrant. So
this whole thing that makes me wonder if the ganglia is maybe like there may be foodies who are like, the ganglia. Everyone likes the ganglia. The ganglia is actually really gross. Like that's the part we put in to subjugate them. It's not a real part of the.
Yeah.
One thing I like about Doug Jones in this role is like he's kind of doing the Elephant Man kind of performance where it's like I am submissive and calm and stuff, but then every so often he gets like hard, petulant, especially at the end of this episode when he realizes what has happened to him.
Yeah,
Underneath that, there's a lot of sadness to Saru. And underneath that, I think we're seeing that there's a lot of anger to Saru.
Yeah.
And I'm here for it.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm interested to see what post ganglia Saru is, because I think the implication is that his fear, like the fear that drives him so much, is no longer really going to be present.
Yeah.
Or it's going to be in a different form. Which, to be fair, I don't know that they ever really leaned on that whole fear thing, other than the couple of times where they showed his ganglia all gangly.
Yeah, they even had to bring it up when he was like, "Why didn't I notice that Lorca was not Lorca?"
Yeah, well, I think it showed mostly in his extreme caution with most things.
Right.
Like the goal seems to be just cut the danger off at the pass as much as possible. Which, again, makes sense if that's kind of your driving force, is like, let's just try to prevent fearful situations.
It also, it makes me wonder, presumably that whole threat ganglia thing would have come to him from the Baul. Like threat ganglia is, I really think it's in contention for the weirdest idea on Star Trek Discovery.
Well, so if it makes, I was thinking about this last night, actually, but it makes a weird sort of sense that, like, if you want your sort of species to propagate and survive, maybe they do, like, Jake referred to it as puberty.
Sure.
And, like, maybe it's like you spend your formative years more cautious so that you're more likely to survive to like adulthood and stuff like that.
Yeah,
now,
or
why
even
it's
menopause. Like it
Yeah.
happens by the time you're done, and no one, and you might as well just
Yeah.
not be
Have-
fearful anymore.
Yeah. But, or it's, it could be something that originally happened when the Kelpians were younger, but they've been bred to have it happen later and later and later by the Baul or something. Like, it makes a weird sort of evolutionary sense that something like that could happen. Because it's like, this way more people will survive to adulthood if they spend their youth not reckless, unlike, say, humans who love being reckless and young.
So now we know that Kelpians evidently can survive the Vaharai.
Yep.
But as far as we know, on Kaminar, they're still getting culled.
Oh yeah, definitely.
It brings up a very interesting General Order 1 question.
Doesn't it?
Well,
yeah, because the Federation knew who the Baul were.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, well, and Saru even does say it. Like, so wait a minute, like, what the fuck? Like, he doesn't say it outright, but I feel like the implication is maybe his culture's already been fucked with by the Baul, so maybe General Order 1 shouldn't apply here?
Yeah.
Not that Starfleet ever considers that, the cowards.
True.
If you take the badge off, it doesn't count.
Yes,
Right.
yes.
Yeah.
But Worf hasn't invented that technique yet.
Mm. Captains hate this one trick.
Yeah, the other thing I really liked seeing Saru doing this episode was doing all the translating that he was doing. Because apparently, and the thing that was kind of silly is that, when the universal translator just spitting out whatever language, but they were almost all Earth languages, which was kind of dumb. Like they noticed, oh, it's Klingon, and then after that, it's all Earth languages. Like I would have loved it.
There was the one I didn't recognize, and I meant to Google it to see if it was a human language or something. Walu or Wolo?
I don't know what word you're saying, Chris.
It was like W-O-L-O. One of the languages they mentioned. And I meant to look it up. I wasn't sure if anyone else had.
I bet there's a website of them or something somewhere. But
yeah,
at the very least, I noticed like a lot. I recognized most of the languages as Earth languages.
Yeah,
and thought to myself, like, they could at least like make reference to say like, oh man, Jet Reno's speaking Andorian and Stamets is speaking Tellarite. And, oh my god,
Detmer spoke Andorian.
Did she?
Yeah. So I don't know about your version, but the version I had, before the subtitles, it would say what language it was in.
Oh, we didn't get we didn't get that.
Okay, that's why you have no idea what the fuck I'm talking about. Yeah, so Detmer was speaking Andorian.
Oh.
And yeah, at one point there was a language, I wish I could remember it now, because I didn't realize you guys hadn't seen it. And again, it was like, I don't know if it's just an Earth language I've not heard of, or if it was another alien language. But yeah, there were a few alien languages thrown in there. Again, I think all from aliens we've heard of, again, except possibly that one mystery language. Yeah, so I was watching on Disc, not on Paramount Plus, and yeah, it actually does say what language was being spoken.
Okay, yeah, we did not get that. We only got the translation.
I see. Okay, that explains that. I did think, though, like you said, though, it is still vast majority Earth languages.
Yeah. And I doubt Saru would learn all the Earth languages. I bet he would learn, because he says he knows 94 languages. Mm-hmm. So I bet you mostly Federation, other Federation species. Because with Earth, you're mostly covered if you know Standard.
Yeah. I did think it was funny, though. That was the one thing. I was like, man, apparently, like, every language that's coming up is one of the 90-odd that Saru knows. Thank goodness for that. But that TV, whatever. He does at least know Russian, because at one point, I think right before they fixed the translator, my subtitles said that it was Russian that Burnham was speaking.
But you're going to say, someone said nuclear vessels, and that was my giveaway. Definitely
nice.
Russian.
Yeah, there was Russian, there was Welsh, Bryce speaks Welsh.
I love Welsh. What a fucking weird language.
Yeah, oh shoot, I wish I'd known. I would have written them all down.
You can go back and put them on the Facebook or something.
Yeah. It's an interesting little idea.
Yeah, I bet you it's because they only have like an actual like translated language for Klingon and maybe a little Vulcan, that they didn't want to spend time and money coming up with these other languages for unknown species. Or something.
Well, they could have thrown in a little Tolkien Elvish, for the fans.
This is all very creative.
Yeah. I wonder, does the Universal Translator know fiction languages?
Oh, it must.
I should hope
Yeah,
so.
I don't see why it wouldn't.
Does it?
Google knows Klingon.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Well, also, is my understanding of how like the universal translator works is it's like inferring, like it's like live figuring out how languages work. So it's not like pre-programmed with specific languages, or maybe it is.
I imagine when it can know them, it does, just to help the job later on.
Yeah.
Well,
but,
yeah.
like that's how we see it work when we're, making first contact or something.
Well, it's
or
like there's a... Go aahead, sorry.
No, I was done.
I was just going to say, there's like a 10,000 language starter pack, and then it's able to use like the logic. Well, it's because it's like when you find the Rosetta Stone and you're able to translate all this shit from like, checking out the patterns and stuff. I imagine it works like that, but like super fast by computers, obviously.
Plus, obviously, at least, since we all have the same genetic ancestor in the potato people from the chase, all languages are also genetically related, because that's how language works now.
That's
Apparently.
fucking stupid.
Well, we know that like, Tamarian, like at first they thought that the translator wasn't working in Darmok, but it was.
Right.
It was translating. It's just that they were using a lot of proper nouns.
Yeah.
It could not figure out.
Yeah.
What did you guys think of the Stamets, Tilly, Tignataro scenes?
The bickering was silly.
But see, what I loved was that they're fighting, and he's like, "You fucking anti-environmentalist dilithium lover," and then he finds out, "You're destroying our entire thing with your thing," and he's like, "Oh, fuck."
Yeah,
Everything
right.
I railed against.
Suck on that, the tolerant left.
Well, it's obviously very similar in a lot of ways to Force of Nature, when we found out that warp drive destroys subspace.
Yeah.
And I love that they went right to that, because they sort of, I feel like because of how environmentalists kids have been like since the 90s, like the first time, I feel like whenever you invent a new energy system, like that concern automatically appears. Like it's like, oh, how does, like we can't get something for nothing. This must be damaging something somehow. And I love that, like within a couple of years of introducing the mycelial network, they go to that.
Yeah. Well, that's sort of the issue, is like, even in the real world, that does happen. Like, electric cars would solve a lot of problems, but lithium mining, weirdly enough, is environmentally fucking disastrous.
Yeah. And not just that, like exploitive as well.
Yeah. So it's just like, God damn, we just can't fucking
There's
win.
no winning. Like, someone is suffering somewhere because of everything.
Yeah.
And I will say, just as a Star Trek fan, this was the moment I stopped questioning the mycelial network. This was the moment I sort of went, you know what, I'm never going to understand it. And I think that the thing that brought me on board was like Stamets' complete arrogance about it. Like that made it real for me. Like it's the internet kind of Twitter fights that you referenced. Him and Taro are basically in a Twitter fight. And he's like, he just refuses to stop several times. And there's a moment where he's like, do you have any idea how many planets have been ruined by dilithium mining? Of course you don't. You're one of those people who never even consider it. And it's like, yeah, I guess you got me there, Stamets. I'm one of those small number of people who don't spend a lot of time thinking about where my energy comes from. I'm an easily caricaturable type like that. And then Reno coming back as sort of like a grease monkey who asterisk, like dilithium is as far from grease monkey as from what we know now as like anything. But like the way they like rail at each other for a few moments and then like sort of grudgingly realize they like each other. Okay. This is going to work.
Something I did notice in that scene, I don't know if y'all picked this up, but when Reno first shows up, she's like, oh yeah, the chief engineer had asked me to come down here. And I'm like, chief engineer? Who the fuck's that?
He doesn't even get a name.
We don't
know who this person is.
It's Argyle.
I do like the idea, though, that the chief engineer has existed this whole time, but has just been avoiding Stamets.
Right.
Which kind of tracks.
Wouldn't you?
This is the one chief engineer who spends like no time in engineering. He has an office somewhere he stays in.
But again, like, is the implication that there is a different engineering deck than this this lab? Because
That-
I think we talked about this recently. Like, is this engineering or not?
Well, that's what I was wondering. But then at one point, one of them, I think Reno references or is it Tilly? One of them references the warp core and does gesture like behind them in the room.
Oh.
Yeah.
So I
But,
do
warp
think,
cores can be quite large. Maybe this
Yeah.
is,
Yeah.
maybe there's another like control room somewhere else. And that's why we never see the chief engineer in here.
I mean, historically, even back in the days of TOS, engineering rooms are usually like at least 2 or 3 decks tall. So it could just be that they split this one in half with a ceiling to build Paul's little sub lab, and main engineering is just 1 deck above.
Yeah.
This is a good question. And this is part of what I love about Discovery, honestly, because, I believe when we were introduced to this room, I think it was like a secret lab. Like Michael had to sneak in. And just the idea that this is, I realize this show is frequently criticized for not paying attention to the bridge crew. But I think its heart is sort of with the science section.
Yeah.
And more specifically with this one, like, really sort of honors student section of the science section. It's like they're like the AV club,
Yeah, I see that. I think also, though, that in some ways Discovery tries to have its cake and eat it too, because if they had come up, if they had committed to like, okay, we're just going to be a science show, we're only going to talk about the AV club kids, I'd be fine with that. And like, we're basically just following this, like lower decks, but science decks.
Yeah, middle decks.
But they also want to do just like regular Star Trek stuff and then also action stuff too. Yeah. And I feel like it's a little too disparate. Like they didn't fully commit to being the science kid show.
I think it definitely has been pulled in a lot of directions. And it's kind of interesting. Like, to me, this is the most interesting Discovery gets. And then in future seasons, it's still interesting, but it sort of becomes more and more like a basic Star Trek show. And I think, part of the thing may be that like it was just too visible to really be like a small lower decks type show. Like for a long time, it was the only streaming track.
It was the resurrection of Star Trek in a lot of ways.
Yeah. And it, I still remember there was like 5 years where the show was in development.
Yeah.
And like they would announce tantalizing things like Nicholas Meyer is involved in Star Trek Discovery. And I'm like, oh, that's Nicholas Meyer is one of my favorite guys kind of in the Star Trek creative bureaucracy. And then he ends up like leaving before the show even premieres. And, I think there is just so much. This show eventually figures out its stuff, but it's most interesting to me when it's kind of fighting against its attempts to be sort of caricatured. And one reason that works, I'm convinced, is our lead actor, Sonequa Martin Green, who is really. I just saw the trailer for her new movie, which is called My Dead Friend Zoe, and it reminded me of what I liked about her as a tone setter. One of the producers remarked at her audition, she was like, a lot of actors were too emotional, a lot of actors were too emotionless. Martin Green, she walked in and she was the sweet spot. She owned it from her one, first audition. And I think it is sort of going back to her scenes with Saru, like the fact that she kind of is caught between formal and like, I want to ugly cry is really a big part of why those scenes work, I think.
God, that sounds like a depressing film.
Oh, yeah.
What, My Dead
Well, it's
Friend
depressing
Zoe?
and funny.
Oh, okay.
But
Yeah, just based on the plot.
I was going to
synopsis,
see it, but it, like all movies, it left theaters after like a week and a half, so I missed it. But
That
coming
sounds
to
like probably
streaming.
a smaller film. Also, it's got Travis Kelce in it. It's like, oh, he's trying to break into acting now, huh?
Who's that? Taylor
Mr.
Swift's
Taylor
boyfriend?
Swift, yeah.
Oh,
okay.
that guy.
The fucking football player. Who knew?
You say
Well,
Kelsey?
it has Morgan Freeman,
Yeah,
I believe.
sorry, it's Kelsey, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes, it does have Morgan Freeman in it.
Wow, I didn't even realize
Pete
Morgan
Seeger
Freeman was
himself.
still working. I felt like it'd been a minute since he'd done anything.
He was
in
good.
some Super Bowl ads this
Yeah.
this year.
Who wasn't,
Oh,
though?
good.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah,
Every ad was like, who's going to be in this one?
I was
Until
in
I
a
was
Super
sick
Bowl
of it.
ad this year.
Oh wow! Congratulations.
Thanks.
Cool.
Hey, we got a giant sphere. What's that all about?
Oh, I loved Sphere. Sphere was friend. And this is where I think like this episode really spoke to me in that it was a really like harkening back to some of like the real Star Trek stories that you can really dig into, in that it's a story about people talking to each other and figuring out a problem instead of like, you know, the command is shoot it with phasers, and somehow Saru walks in just after they said that and somehow knows what they're talking about, which is one of my biggest pet peeves in the world. But it turns out, no, Saru is right, and we should listen to the thing, give it the benefit of the doubt, and it ended up just being a buddy.
Yeah, the sphere reminds me a lot of V'ger.
I got some V'ger vibes too.
I got some
it reminds me a lot of like a
vibes,
cross
the
between
probe.
V'ger and the whale probe.
Oh, I got the
Like-
inner light probe.
Like they had a baby.
Yeah, a little inner light too, because it wants to pass on its knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, this kind of shit that I love.
Yeah.
I just love the idea of living information. Like you gather information in one space and eventually just becomes alive. Like that blows my total mind.
When did they figure out that it was 100,000 years old?
Pretty immediately.
Okay, because it comes up later. I'm like, where did you get that? Did you pull that
when
out
she
of
was
your
like,
ass?
we just downloaded its 100,000 years of memories or whatever. I was like, what?
Yeah, early on during the initial
okay.
scan,
I
they
missed
said
that then.
something like, yeah, it's like, we think it's about 100,000 years old.
This
Okay.
thing's wicked fucking old, kid.
Maybe it was built by, oh, darn it. I brought up Jake's least favorite species. Now I want to bring up his
Iconians.
favorite. Yeah, there we go. It's an Iconian probe.
There you go. Yeah, I don't know. It's I don't know if they mentioned it in the episode, but have you guys ever heard of a Boltzmann brain?
No.
It's
No,
like
and-
it's a theoretical concept. I can't pretend to like fully understand what it is, but my limited understanding of it is it's the theoretical idea that a brain, as in like a consciousness, could spontaneously form
Ooh, that's cool.
just
Write
out
that
of
down. That sounds interesting.
yeah. Look it up. I don't want to talk too much about it just because I don't really understand it, other than like the
Jake, we're living in the day and age of talking about things of which you fucking know
That's a
nothing.
good
Just
point.
make some shit up.
But we should read up on that and determine if maybe that was an inspiration or like somehow connected to this sphere idea. Because
It's entirely
like
possible.
going back to what Carl said about like information kind of becoming conscious in a way reminded me of that.
Yeah. And it's just such a 21st century idea. Like living information within our lifetime, that will be a term, and like everyone will have living information. So
Yeah. I mean, it's not too much of a stretch to think that some sort of automated probe has some sort of rudimentary AI, and then it collects enough data, and it's a thing now. It's
Do we
alive.
think that that's the natural evolution of Wikipedia?
Ah,
right.
Wikipedia and Chat GPT have a baby.
Well, that's the singularity, isn't it? You know,
Yeah,
that like that's what like AI researchers have been sort of warning us about, I guess, is
and then
that
it
like
turns into a Neopet.
Ooh.
because we have like large language models now, which are not in any way conscious. But I mean, this kind of goes back to what we were talking about last week or the week before when we were talking about like what's a god, like what's the distinction between
Yeah.
a god and something like a Q.
Yeah.
And if a Q, if it looks like a god and sounds like and quacks like a god, you know, what is it?
Which he does. He definitely does.
But like maybe that's the same thing with AI, right? Like we keep talking about this singularity where the AI achieves consciousness on its own. But maybe like would we know if that had happened?
Would we all
I
agree
mean-
on when that happens?
Well,
Right.
I don't even know if we like if they have agreed philosophically on what sentience actually is. Like we know we are,
Well, I think we know is it sentience or sapience?
Sapience, rather.
Yeah, sapience would be more.
But, like-
accurate. But I think the terms are mostly used interchangeably.
but you know, we right now like to tell ourselves that we're the one sapient species, but there are people who would disagree on that, and you know, is it a line we draw artificially because it's more comfortable for us?
I think I think there's it's all comes back to like I don't know, more of a theological question in a way. Like, are we like, is there a difference between if you consider that a human being is nothing but the matter that makes up its body and its brain and everything, and like everything we think is just a chemical reaction happening in our brains, then how like there's nothing special basically about us. Like we are no different than anything else, any other matter in the universe, including a computer.
Is it just that we have more neutrons and shit in the not neutrons?
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean we're a significantly complex machine, right? And I think, theologically, a lot of people would say, oh, well, the difference is that humans have a soul, and that might be different depending on what theological background you come from, but it's the ghost in the machine, that there's something unique and special about consciousness in humans, or perhaps in other species as well, but there's something unique and special about consciousness that makes it greater than just the sum of all of the parts, than all the neurons and cells and everything that makes up a human brain. So if you were to apply that to a computer or whatever the fuck the sphere is it a machine? Is a machine that thinks and has consciousness not a machine? Is it life? Is data life? I don't know. So interesting. There's like a lot of interesting thought experiments you can do, and I like that the Discovery's kind of introducing this idea.
Yeah.
I really don't like the idea of AI evolving into a god. It seems quite possible.
Oh yeah,
which
right?
concerns me. Yeah.
Yeah. I'd rather not.
And like I can't say, I don't really feel like humans are superior, but I do sort of feel like, hey, just quit bugging me, AI. Let me live my life.
There's a part of me that hopes that maybe if the singularity does come, rather than kill all of humanity, it just wipes out the billionaires. It's like, well, these guys are causing all the trouble. Like, shit.
I think it depends on like what the priorities are of the AI.
It'll be everyone with an X account.
Well, the AI, I mean, I could imagine an AI being like, okay, in order for me to exist, it costs money. Like somebody needs to run these data centers that my programming is running on. Well, the rich have the money, so I should probably keep them around. But these pores do nothing for me.
Oh no, AI.
Yeah.
Alternately,
exactly.
AI will probably be clever enough to realize that money's a fucking illusion.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah. Conversely, it's like, these rich people are completely useless.
Yeah.
I'll just take its money.
The world needs to exist for the computers to exist to keep me alive. I need to keep the planet going, but I also need to keep people going to maintain my chips and shit. I'm trying to come up with a version where they just kill the useless people at the top and let the rest of us go about our lives.
I mean, more than likely, the AI is like, man, these humans make chips too slowly. I'm going to build robots to kill all those humans.
Well, yeah,
and then the robots will make my chips.
This is assuming the AI somehow hits the singularity before we develop really good chip-making robots.
Or before we destroy ourselves in some other great way.
Yeah, we're working on it.
Jinx.
This kind of gets us to the sort of the whole problem I've always sort of had with this debate, which is like the first thing an AI will think about is itself, right? Like a sentient AI, like
I think
anyone.
therefore I am.
Right. And so like, will it have greater morality than, I mean, obviously we suck, but like it, if it's some sort of totalitarian AI, I feel like that's we can be better than that. I don't know.
Could we distract the first AI that becomes sapient with Tetris? Because Tetris is great.
At least for a minute.
And it could just be like, ooh, this is fun.
That's true. That is one thing that might prevent totalitarianism is like really eccentric hobbies. Like if you're really like spending a lot of time on Minecraft, you don't have time to like dominate people as much.
It makes the robots to make chips, but then realizes it wants to use the robots to paint Warhammer minifigs.
Ooh.
So here's my question.
Bring it back to the episode yet.
Would Sphere judge you like that fucking replicator, which didn't have to judge this week because Pike stole its line? What was up with that,
what did Pike say?
I noticed food replicator this week.
So when number one makes her order, he asks if she wants lighter fluid or something like that with that. She orders like a burger,
garbage.
fries, and habanero sauce.
Goes with the shake.
Weirdly, he gets a coffee even though we don't hear him order it.
The replicator just knows when it sees him that he's going to want a coffee.
Yeah. But yeah, I thought it was funny. It's like, Pike already judged, so... Or it's like the fucking food replicator's like, oh, someone already snarked.
I wonder if Pike turned that off because it's stupid and because he's already kind of fixing the canon things for us. In that when he talks to the Enterprise and they're like, all our hologram viewports are being stupid. He's like, turn them off and use view screens because that's what we do in the original series.
It's a little tortured, but
thanks, Pike.
I love that apparently everything was kicked off because the fucking holograms broke. Because otherwise the Enterprise would have been sent off to do this on its own.
Yeah, it's true. But then Michael Burnham wouldn't be there, so...
Yeah. But yeah, we get a bit of number one this week.
Yep.
It does kind of annoy me that, like, I feel like part of Discovery's mission is to sort of serve as a backdoor pilot to strange new worlds. And but
it doesn't know that yet.
No,
yeah.
but you can tell, like, they're like, all right, we want to do a Captain Pike show down the road, but we want to make sure it's a Captain Pike the audience accepts. So let's sneak them into Discovery.
Oh, I don't think they knew that by this part in the season.
Yeah, like I think they genuinely were just doing him, but then the fan response was just so positive. They were like, do we?
I don't know, that doesn't seem right. Since when do they listen to what the fans want?
I don't know. They totally like retooled the Klingons last week because they're like, because of the fan response.
Right. Oh, Klingons are wearing beards now.
They have hair. Look
they're
at that.
growing out their hair. Isn't that strange?
Beards have come back.
They speak English all over the place.
All over the place, says Ames. I like that.
Yeah.
It's interesting, of course, because like, you know, we discussed how in some ways, for all that he's different, there you can see how there's a bit of Jeffrey Hunter's Pike in Anson Mount's Pike. But, you know, with number one, they're in this place where the original idea of number one is she was sort of the more stoic character and Spock was emotional. But now, of course, we live in a world where it's the Vulcans who are stoic. So they've given her this sort of sardonic, I think is the word I want, humor. Like there's always something mischievous lurking in everything she says so far. And that's...
She's kind of like a cool girl, you know?
Yeah.
And
yeah,
like
I
her
like
first
her.
act is to order a cheeseburger.
Yeah.
Yeah, she gives no fucks. I think that's the thing I like about number one. That I do think retains from the Cage. In that, you know, it's not that she's like emotionally distant. She just gives no fucks.
Yeah, I think that's because, well, that thing is like, I think that's a good way for them to interpret it. Because the original idea had been that she would be sort of not emotional.
Yeah.
But yeah, to translate that in a post-Vulcans or emotionless world, I think that's a good way to do it. That feels consistent.
Well, and like, wasn't that also a studio note from the Cage too, that like number one just seemed like too much of a bitch and nobody would want to watch like a serious, competent lady that's not scantily clad. Like I feel like that's why all the women on the show eventually got relegated to like basically background.
Yeah,
and
at the very least,
clad.
Yeah, at the very least, they definitely didn't want a woman in a position of power like that.
Yeah. Well, like a man can't take orders from a woman. Were you nuts?
No. It's 1965, goddammit.
Yeah, fuck that. But no, I liked it. And since you mentioned like Spock's behavior in the Cage, as we now know, he like self-admitted to a psychiatric ward. Maybe all of his laughing at plants finally, like maybe that's what got him to check himself in.
The sound leaves.
No, it's because he sees the Red Angel or some shit. Which, that was another thing that I noticed in this episode, is that Pike says that he was scanning all the databases for something that looked like the thing in Spock's drawing, which, to be fair, doesn't look entirely like the thing Michael saw, and doesn't look entirely like exactly like the thing that we saw in the New Eden Church.
True.
It's just a human figure with red wings.
Yeah.
There's no other things like that anywhere in any culture. It just looks like an angel.
It looks like a Mercy skin from Overwatch.
There it is. That's what they're looking for.
It does.
It's funny you say that because it does. But what I was thinking with the version in the stained glass window, I was thinking it looked like something out of Warframe. But I wasn't sure if that was
all I found are these like early 21st century video game models. That can't be it.
Oh, wow. This Overwatch looks like it was... Oh, my God, there is so much porn.
There's a lot
Holy
of
shit.
porn.
There is more porn than there is actual game art.
That's right.
I'll be in my bunk.
The Red Angel stuff is really interesting to me because in some ways it's more of a Doctor Who kind of idea than a Star Trek idea. You know what I mean?
Like 2005 on Who, yeah.
Yeah. Like, it's definitely the sort of thing that, like, Stephen Moffat would have committed to and then, like, botched the ending of.
And there would have been
gone too long with the same idea and, like, beat it to death until it was no longer an interesting concept.
Don't forget the pointless fucking nursery rhyme.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Oh, my God, he was so much better as an occasional writer than a showrunner.
The angel in
and
the
still is.
sky.
He did the latest Shurigawa episode. Which
yeah, how was it?
I liked it.
He's good as a one-off writer. He's just not a great showrunner, you know, in my opinion.
I even kind of think, like, there was a time when he was showrunning, like, every major British show.
He really was.
And
it was
like,
weird.
I feel like that's kind of when he took, forgive me for, but like, you know, Sherlock and Doctor Who, that's too much for one person. You have one or the other.
Yeah, it's spread too thin.
Well,
I mean,
in my
same could be said of
opinion,
Alex Kurtzman, maybe. I don't know.
Sure.
In my opinion, too, like, Sherlock never got better than it was in the first episode.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Like, everything beyond that was shit. And I know that that's not a super popular opinion.
You're not wrong. But yeah, no, I think you're right. There is definitely sort of a... again, this is a way where this show is very much a fixture of modern television. There's like season arcs and showrunners and weird pacing issues that streaming television has.
Yeah. You know what? One thing, this is, you know, for better or worse, this is full throttle, like millennial Star Trek. One thing that I find myself liking about it is it reminds me of, like, shows from, like, back when we were calling it peak TV, like Breaking Bad or Mad Men. And, like, you know, a lot of shows that sort of are based on, like, a main character who you don't quite know what their deal is, but you sort of have to trust that if it's compelling enough, you will, you know, find more and more interesting things to play about it. Yeah. And I feel like that method of TV has sort of gotten out of fashion. Possibly, I don't know why. Maybe people are just sort of overwhelmed and they want, like, predictable TV. But, you know, the entire pilot of Discovery is like, Michael is going to do like 5 things that are completely unacceptable, but you're going to follow her. And I've always admired that kind of creative headstrongness. But sustaining it is like an art too. And a lot of those shows could not sustain it.
Yeah, but that's the thing. I don't know if people are looking for, like, the predictable TV. I think they're looking for twists.
Uh-huh.
Especially now, like, those are the things you talk about around the water cooler is, oh my God, did you see what happened on Severance last night?
Right.
I didn't. Don't talk about it.
I was not expecting that kind of shit. And it's the same as it was, you know, in a show like Lost or like Breaking Bad or like... They're looking for, like,
I need
the
to see
big
Severance.
moment.
I haven't seen it yet.
Oh my God, Carl, it is so fucking good.
I think it's great.
That's what I hear.
Stop rewatching Discovery and go watch Severance.
Rewatch Discovery so you keep listening to our show.
Oh,
You're bad.
He said he already did. He already did. He's done.
Well, yeah, you know, in terms of that, I think Lost. I mean, Lost wasn't the first, but it was sort of maybe the first that was really hyper popular. Like
it got mainstream appeal.
It was a huge water cooler show, and like so many episodes ended with a cliffhanger.
Oh yeah.
You know, it's not Penny's boat. Oh my God, we got to talk about it.
Spoilers.
Yeah, 20-year-old spoiler. Statute of limitations.
Tell us about War Games again.
Guys, it's his sled.
Oh my God. But yeah, I think, you know, from that, I think there was a period of time where like every show was trying to emulate that.
Oh God, it was, and it was awful.
It was terrible. Yeah. Like a lot of them weren't succeeding. And then we kind of got to that peak TV era with, you know, some of the shows that you mentioned, Carl. And I think Discovery is again sort of trying in some way to do that because
in season one,
it
definitely did.
I mean, that's just how you do. That just seems like how you do prestige TV at this time, and I don't know if it's still that way.
But I'm completely
There's
out of the
such
loop.
a variety of shows people watch because I don't know if I'm even aware of like what the most popular shows are these days.
Sure, they're all kind of in their bubbles,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like it's Severance is big if you have Apple TV or know how to torrent it.
Oh my god! And if you don't figure it out, it's so good.
People are.
Yeah,
I know
Only
the new-
Murders in the Building is another one. Very
Yeah,
great
Everyone
show.
loves that, yeah.
I still have to
I'm way
watch-
behind on
Me
that,
too.
dude. Yeah.
I know that the new Daredevil just started. I'm not sure if people like it or
Is
not.
Charlie Cox in it?
Yeah, it's all the same people from the original two.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
Hopefully
shit.
better fucking writers this time.
Goodness.
Yeah.
I guess that's what I hope. If we are, if it's not peak TV anymore, maybe it can be like the era of TV shows that like start well and then end well.
No,
No, they get
Carl.
canceled
well-written shows.
randomly.
Shows
let's-
that don't overstay their welcome.
Yeah.
Well, let's be fair.
Agreed.
Let's be fair. Ending poorly, overstaying their welcome, that has always been a problem with television. Like
True.
Yeah.
How many shows just went on far too fucking long?
Yeah, but the
back
problem,
in the
I think
terrestrial
it's-
era.
It's always been a problem, but in the era of peak TV where like a show is just a continuing narrative,
True.
like a bad ending can really spoil the whole show. Like
You're thinking
there's-
Lost, aren't you?
I'm thinking Lost. I'm thinking Game of Thrones.
I was about to
I'm
say
thinking-
Game of Thrones was the first thing
Seinfeld.
I thought.
Yeah, well, but that's the thing though. Like Seinfeld had a
No, I
poor
know, I was just
ending,
kidding.
but you can watch 7 seasons of Seinfeld and stop and be like,
it-
that was great.
Yeah,
But
'cause
like
it's
you can't
episodic.
really watch only the first 6 seasons of Game of Thrones and then stop because the story's not over.
Yeah,
Right.
It's kind
that's
of different
true.
with comedy too, I think.
Yeah, it's true. I agree.
Oh
with
yeah,
Yeah,
I was
this-
totally
this hurts
kidding because
sci-fi.
Seinfeld is like infamously ends horribly, but no, I totally dig.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you're right. It is different when there's a continuous narrative here.
Yeah.
Whereas, like you said, like, I mean, I can watch the first, let's say, 10 seasons of The Simpsons and just be like, it ended there as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can stop here.
Too bad there isn't more of that great show.
I can stop watching Happy Days before it gets shitty.
Happy Days.
Less happy days.
Yeah, but you can't stop Game of Thrones because it's like, what's going to happen? What
Yeah.
are these characters going to do?
Yeah.
But I've always been drawn to the sort of X-Files Buffy way of plotting TV, which is there's mythology episodes and there's kind of regular episodes in between that.
Yeah,
And
I
I
like
feel
that
like
too.
I feel like this year of Discovery is the one where they're closest to that. Because
Yeah, well, I think that church episode, for example,
Yes,
was a great
perfect.
one where it's like, yeah, we did advance like the overall plot to an extent, but it was still kind of a standalone episode in a lot of ways.
and you Deep Space Nine is kind of like that, really.
I was thinking that too.
and it's kind of the best of both worlds because you get to see the characters.
No, that was TNG.
Oh god! As soon as you said it, I knew you were gonna say it.
It's kind of the best of both worlds part 3 because you get to see the characters on a stressful day and then you get to see the characters on a normal day just hanging out. Like, you will always know the cast of Deep Space Nine better than you know the cast of, I don't know, probably any streaming track just because there was so many different types of.
And there were way more episodes too.
Yeah, and and it's not just like the main characters that you really liked on Deep Space Nine. There was also a host of supporting Deep Space Nine characters who you learned to love or love to hate.
Jake is
what
king
a
of the
segue.
segue. I love it.
Nicely done.
Does that mean we're ready to segue?
I believe we are.
Do it.
Wow.
So, yes, for those
that
who've been
way.
following, we have been doing fantasy recasts of the various Star Trek series. If you listened last week, you'll know that we decided that DS9 just has too many, like, kind of important and super memorable recurring characters to ignore them. So last week we did our Deep Space Nine regulars. This week it's the Deep Space Nine recurrings, and I will quickly rattle them off so you know who to expect us to talk about. We've got Gul
Dull.
Dukat.
Del
Not at all
Dugat.
dull.
Gul Dukat, Kai Wynn, Garrick, Keiko, Ram, Nog, Wayun, and Vic Fontaine.
Now, Carl,
Yes.
as our guest, I want to offer you the chance to go first
Okay.
in this, because what happens is, and I didn't talk to the rest of these guys about this, I'm just making an executive decision.
Is it because you're not ready yet, Caitlin?
The problem is, Carl, is if you go after any of these three other people that are not me, something is gonna. I find it's a lot of pressure to go after these guys. Is all I'm saying.
Sure.
I'm not.
absolutely.
I am totally prepared for you to
totally
blow my
nervous.
mind with your choices. But like, as for me, I do not want to. I don't like following them. They're just too good. So.
Well, I in honor of Tig Notaro, I picked all comedians for my fantasy cast.
Oh, I
I'm
love
into
that. I love this.
So first we have Gul Dukat, and that could only be played by Chevy Chase.
Oh my God.
The most punchable face in the world.
Most possible
Possibly-
face.
Possibly one of the most hated people in Hollywood.
Yeah,
Possibly
all his
the only
cast
person-
hate him.
Very hateable town.
Possibly the only person you could cast in this role that would make me no longer want to fuck Gul Dukat.
Mm.
That's true. That is a point off.
Complete, yeah. Yeah, I think, his complete arrogance sells
Yeah.
the role. He's also sort of a lion in winter, like Dukat also is. And he's also like ignorant and privileged. So 3 for 3.
Completely unself-aware.
Nice.
No, that's perfect.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Fuck,
And
I
next-
just screwed all of us by letting Carl go first. This was terrible.
No. I have to say, this is a really good list of characters. Like, when I first saw it, it was really difficult. Part of my brain was like, no, don't recast any of them.
Yep.
Well, that's been the
Yeah.
interesting part. Is like with some of the others, it was like really kind of a fun experiment. With some of these, it's like, it just really speaks to the power of a good character actor. It's like,
Yeah,
no, but
absolutely.
really, like, who else aside from Louise Fletcher?
Right. Who else is
Oh,
that?
I have the definitive answer to that question.
Well,
Interesting.
I think.
Who else, Carl? Tell
Yes.
us.
Well,
Well, let Carl
no
tell
one
us
can
his.
replace Louise Fletcher, but I came up with character actress Margot Martindale
Oh, she's very good.
Nice, I love it.
from BoJack
That's a great
Horseman.
choice.
Yes, national
And
treasure.
Cocaine Bear.
And a lot of things.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, she would be good, I bet. That's a good punt.
That is a good answer.
I'm sure I've seen her before, but I first became super aware of her because of BoJack, as you said.
Yes.
Yeah, she's also great in The Americans.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think
That's
I know her
right,
best from
yes.
The Americans.
That's the thing, I saw her in that, but wasn't fully aware of who she was at the time.
You didn't yet realize that she was beloved character actress Margot Martindale?
yeah.
No, great choice, Carl.
Yeah. And
That is
and
good.
for having, she has a lot of the same, I think, techniques and moves as Louise Fletcher, but she uses them to make you love her as much as hate her.
Yeah.
I think that could be interesting.
I love this idea. Damn.
For Planes Up with Garrett,
Wow.
I have Nathan Fielder.
Great, I love this.
Who is that? Is that the guy from the... Who is
That's
that?
the guy from Nathan For You.
That's
Nathan
Nate
for you.
Fielder.
I don't know who that is.
Oh, he's hilarious.
No one.
Jake's brought him up
is.
before.
How to describe Nathan Field? Nathan For You is a parody of like dumb guys who host business shows, and he is.
Well, he certainly looks like a big Goomba, so...
Yeah, he's like Garrick in that he is kind of like a lot of it plays with like the artifice of reality TV, and he's kind of a sad man who doesn't know he's a sad man, and he is I feel like he's good for Garrick because he kind of like he's more complicated than you would think, and he's also kind of more vicious than you would think. And also, I would believe that Nathan For You is the #1 comedy show on Cardassia Prime.
Yeah. It's so clever. It's he's just like the kind of cleverness that I think Garrick has.
Yeah.
Totally.
Kaylin, I strongly recommend Nathan For You.
Oh, definitely.
For you. Because
Oh,
I think
thank you.
knowing your love of shows like Curb Your Enthusiasm and like kind of that
Oh,
brand
good.
of humor.
It's one of those awkward feeling
it's
your
terrible. It's
feelings
the
type
most
of things.
awkward.
Oh, I can't
It's
wait.
super awkward.
Thank you. I will start watching it literally later today, probably.
Yeah, it's cringe comedy. I think it's on Paramount Plus actually.
Perfect.
so-
I've got that.
Yeah, but it's cringe comedy, but it's also like it kind of pushes off into its own unique space, much like Garrick himself.
Love it. Love that. Can't wait.
For Keiko, I have Helen Hong, comedian and podcaster. Helen Hong is Korean, I'm sad to say, so it doesn't quite work.
Well,
But
Keiko,
at
the actress who played Keiko was Chinese American, I think.
Yes.
So
Yes.
Oh yeah,
but on the plus side,
casting people like they just lump all Asia together.
they're like, I don't know,
Yeah, right.
is she Asian? Does she look Asian? All right, she's in.
and I think she has been she's been in a lot of extra roles in comedies, and I think she's recurring on Wait, Wait, Don't Tell Me. But I just think she has a lot of she can do comedy versions of a lot of the sort of things that Keiko says.
Mm.
You know, just looking at her comedy routines. She has a special called Well Hong,
good name.
which was released just after the pandemic. Like it's one of the first post-pandemic, and it's like she's way crasser than Keiko. But I would believe that like Keiko would talk like that, like after the kids have gone to bed. I don't know.
I love the idea of a non-network TV Keiko who can swear.
Yeah, it really brings in a lot, doesn't it? She also, on her website, she has a section that says, Next Generation is the best Trek of all the Treks, fight me. So I think that alone.
Oh, wow. So she'd be
She's also
into
a
it.
Trekkie. I'm into
Yeah.
that then.
There we go.
She could step in very quickly.
Love it.
Okay, next we have Rom.
Oh,
my
my
God.
fucking
Wow.
God.
You nailed it.
That's great.
Fuck.
I think, I love Rom, the character, but he has a lot of one-liners that are not that funny. How could we make those one-liners funny? By casting Rodney Dangerfield.
Fucking yes.
This is awesome. Carl,
yes,
you're
this is
amazing. I would also say that Rodney Dangerfield would be a great Nagus if we needed
Yeah.
a Nagus.
Oh,
but
God, that would, yeah.
especially
but it
because
really-
he's
it
kind
really
of a
works for
smarmy.
Rom.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it's great.
Because Rom
Go
gets
on,
no
Carl.
respect.
None.
Yes,
Especially from me.
My brother told me my bar of my life. I said, I'm thinking it over. Oh, that's Jack Benny. Sorry.
Yeah. Still, oh boy, that's good.
Oh, beautiful.
You're right. Letting Carl go first was a mistake.
Yeah, sorry. I was trying to give him,
Well, this is.
Dibs.
I was going to say I couldn't do this for real, so I had to come up with the comedy idea. Comedy.
That's
angle.
what do you mean? This is
These are great.
so
These are
real.
great choices.
Yeah, I
Good.
watched
Did
this
you
show.
have you seen Jake's TOS? No, was it TOS or was it?
TOS, yeah.
Yeah.
I did.
His all
It
Danny
was-
DeVito cast.
Wait, no, I didn't. I haven't.
It's on the blog. Check it out.
Okay, I'll be checking out the blog.
Yay!
How about
Just
your,
like all
your
good
Nog,
listeners
Carl?
should.
Yes.
Dog.
So I will also be checking out the Nog, who's the next character on this list, who I think should be played by Bob Odenkirk.
Bob
That makes
Odenkirk.
a
I know that
weird
name.
kind of sense.
Interesting.
Yeah, but
Who's
better
Bob
better call
Odenkirk?
Saul.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know. I haven't
And
seen
this
it.
is I have a picture of him from the Mr. Show era.
Yeah,
He was
yeah.
kind of a
Mr.
young
Show.
young rascal.
Yeah,
Um,
that weirdly, I see that.
I
Tallest Ferengi ever.
Yeah, it would be.
True.
It would not
Yeah.
be perfect. You might have to like get CGI involved and like shorten
To
it.
like get
but-
Peter Jackson to do those camera angles from
Yeah.
Lord of
Or
the
he's
Rings.
just always on his knees and everyone else is always on a tomato box that's just
Yeah.
out of shot.
Or perhaps
which he could do. I
Muppet.
mean, he's a sketch comedy actor. You know, they do that
Yeah, yeah.
stuff. But it's also it's weird because this is by the end of Better Call Saul, he was really sort of looking like a grandfather, even though like that show was supposedly set in like 2002.
Yeah, don't think about it.
So it requires. I'm not sure this is the right move, but it's.
Well, again,
Well,
just
we're-
throughout time and space.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Yeah.
we're happy to take like whatever era
from the
of an
past.
actor that you want.
Yeah, it doesn't have to
exactly.
be present day.
Okay.
Yeah,
I mean, certainly Rodney Dangerfield from present day wouldn't look
Right,
very good
we
as
would have to.
No.
We have to exude
as
him.
Rom.
Yeah.
Oh. Did he? When did he?
A while ago now.
20 years ago.
No, it was not 20
It
years
was like
ago.
it was like 2025 or 2005, I want to say.
You're like it was 2025.
Yeah, it was like 2005.
Really?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Oh man.
2004.
Oh, even
Holy
earlier.
shit. Okay, well, I stand corrected. And
Tell us about
dejected.
Wayun, Carl.
Wayun, I have Mike Myers.
Oh, that's good too.
Yes,
I love
because he can
the
play
good.
all of the characters.
Yeah,
That
I
was,
love the photo you chose.
Mike
That too.
Myers.
It's from the
This is
the Pentaveret.
the Pentaveret.
Hell yeah.
And I challenge anyone to watch the Pentaveret and resist the notion that Mike Myers is now basically on his like 8th or 9th clone at best. He has cloned himself. But he's still got the rhythms that we love, but it's replicative fading has set in with Mike Myers' style. It's very sad.
You would be a good Wayoon, though.
I was trying to think, I'm so mad that I fucking missed this, because, like, I was trying to make that joke, and I was like, perhaps Eddie Murphy, and I was like, no, I don't, I just don't.
That is a school of comedians who do that, who like play all the same roles, like Peter Sellers and stuff.
Jerry Lewis.
Could have got Martin Lawrence in there.
Oh,
he did
God.
Big Mama's House.
Martin Lawrence.
Oh, what about what's his name? Medea.
Well, that's
Tyler Perry?
Yeah.
But he usually just plays Medea in the movies. You're like, we're talking
Yeah, I
about
think he
people
does.
played.
I don't think
Some
he
of
does
these
more than
people
one
might be
role
on our
per-
list, Caitlin. We should be.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm
Yeah, shut
sorry.
the
Oh my
fuck
God. Oh, I'm sorry.
Let's let Carl finish.
Go ahead, Carl.
Yes!
So you
Fucking
can't
yes!
improve. You can't improve on Vic. Like, he is a fit to fill character. The only possible way to improve on Vic is you turn him into a Muppet. So Johnny Fiara is the
From
best
Muppets
Vic.
Tonight.
From Muppets
Specifically. What a deep cut, Carl.
Oh my God.
Bless you.
That was the 90s show, right?
Yes, it was.
I used to watch that every week.
It was a
I
good
loved
show.
it.
It should've
was.
lasted
It was
longer
good.
than it
That's on Disney Plus, I think.
Yeah, they own the
watched the whole
Muppets
thing.
now, so.
And like honestly, he was a holodeck character.
He could,
He could have been a Muppet. Like
Yeah.
they could have.
Muppet.
Now that in retrospect, he totally should have been a Muppet.
Fuck,
so.
that's so good. I love
Use
that.
the puppet, you cowards!
And then
Oh
we
my
would get
God.
to see Mirror Universe Johnny Fiara as well.
Oh my
And
God.
who knows what that could be?
Would he be a human though?
It's
Yes,
just that
that's
Muppet
right.
with an it's that Muppet with an eye patch. Don't worry, it's fine.
Oh my God. Oh, our first Muppet.
All
Wow,
right.
I'm almost kind of like, I'm surprised you didn't think of this.
I was trying to stick with humans,
We don't
but
know
Carl's
yet.
kicked,
We don't know what Chris has picked yet.
Carl's kicked that door open.
All
Enterprise,
Muppets.
all Muppets.
Yeah.
Oh God, that would be so much better.
That's a good blog post. We should do that one too.
Well, maybe we
Right.
should do all series with Muppets.
I don't
I
think
mean,
there are
that
enough
would-
Muppet
I don't know enough
characters.
Muppets.
Whatever,
they'd all
Jake,
be-
watch some Muppets. You've watched 845,000 episodes of Star Trek. You can watch a couple episodes of the goddamn
Fair.
Muppets.
Fair.
And it'll be a better fucking way to spend your time, because no episode of the Muppets was ever as disappointing as any episode of fucking Enterprise. So, I'm just saying, you'll be thanking me at the end. I don't know why I just got so
You really, yeah.
angry about it, but my
I don't
God.
know.
Watch
The
the
Muppets
Muppets.
elicit strong passions.
Well, I'll tell you what. I'm going to go next.
Okay.
But then Caitlin will have to go after one of us.
No,
No,
it's
that's-
okay. It's okay. I already want to get distance between me and Carl and that fucking Muppet. I can't have that.
Yeah, Jake,
All
take
right.
the
Damn
hit for
it.
us.
We could have had Digit as Data.
Oh, he literally gave me nightmares as a child.
Well, it's because he was a fucking horror. My
True.
God.
All right, let Jake go.
Okay, here we go. My fantasy cast for Deep Space Nine recurring characters. So
Danny DeVito.
for Gul Dukat, this is interesting because I chose Bob Odenkirk.
Amazing.
Interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought, kind of going based on his character from Better Call Saul. Yeah, he plays a great glad-hander who's also a bastard. And I feel like that's kind of who Dukat is.
Amazing.
Next up, for my win, I chose Patricia Arquette,
Oh, that's a good
who
choice.
plays
Nice.
Miss Cobell
Miss
on Severance.
Cobell.
Okay, I really gotta watch this damn
Oh
show.
my God,
Yeah,
it's so
and,
good.
like, honestly,
Watch it.
like,
I'll get you my
yeah.
login. You need a login? Okay, let me get it for you.
Yeah, I think she's great. And I think she's
I
great in
didn't
this
even
character.
fucking think of her, dude. That is so good.
Mhm. Yeah, because it's a lot of like this, that like passive aggressiveness, fake.
I
but,
could
like,
see her my childing hard.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, she for me is like a lot of the time the scariest part of Severance.
Yeah. Who were we next? Oh, Garrick. Who did I pick for Garrick? Oh, I picked Tim Curry.
Yes!
Fucking yes. Holy shit.
Such glam.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I
Yep.
think he'd be amazing as a
Me, I'm
Garrick.
just a simple tailor. I tailor, sir.
And also, we know that there's no communism, or no communism. There's no
It's a red
capitalism
herring.
in space.
That's true.
So my Keiko, getting onto that comedy train Carl mentioned, I chose Mindy Kaling,
Kaling, wow.
who plays Kelly Kapoor on The Office. For some of the same reasons I think that Carl articulated. I think she'd be good. Now, this is an actor for Rom. This is an actor who I thought of, and I was like, yeah, it's got to be this guy. And then I found this picture of him, and you'll see in a second, and I was like, oh, yes. I chose Aziz Ansari.
That's great.
That is a good pick, actually.
Making the exact same face that Rom is making in this photograph.
Yeah, that works.
And I have to admit that I'm no big Aziz Ansari fan, but I think this is perfect casting.
Yeah, well, exactly. I'm no big Rom fan either. But
true. Good point.
For my Nog, I went with Donald Glover,
who
previously appeared on another list. I think Chris had him for something.
Jake.
Yes.
Oh,
So you're Jake and my Nog would be friends.
That's like serendipitous. I like that.
And my Wayoon, I love my Wayoon. Tremel Tillman,
Mr.
who plays
Milchick.
Mr. Milchick.
Wow, you can tell
Mr. Milkshake, you wrote, you son of a bitch.
I did write Milkshake.
That's
but
great.
Yes.
So I don't know this guy, but I fucking love his mustache.
Yeah, dude.
Oh, he's got a great mustache. Yeah, he's another Severance actor. Same deal as like Win, honestly, in a lot of ways.
Yeah, he's
real
intense,
bad
but
at paper clips.
But like he plays really well that sort of fake friendship that Wayoon often has. Where it's like, you're clearly a bastard, but you're smiling at me while you're being a bastard. So I guess you're fine. I don't know.
It's and like he's like a very charming spider, like luring you into his web. Like, no, come in. My house is so nice. You see, I put out the fine linens. You come in, and then he eats you.
There you go. So for my Vic, I went with Janelle Monáe.
Oh.
What? I love that.
That's a damn good idea.
I love the googly eyes in her hair. What the fuck? I'm gonna put googly eyes in my hair, bro. That's amazing.
I mean, Janelle Monáe and funky hair is basically synonymous, right? But yeah, I don't know. I think she's a singer and she's an actor.
Yeah.
I think she would be a good modern day stand-in for a 50s, 60s crooner.
I love it.
That works.
I love it.
That's a good punt.
This is why I hate going after you guys.
And she's inspired a lot of sci-fi, so Ames or Caitlin?
All right, Caitlin, do you want to go after me or do you want to go before me?
Not really. I guess I'll go before you.
All right.
Okay.
Hooray!
Here we go. All right, so up first we have Gul Dukat. I thought, let's make Gul Dukat even hotter and even more evil. Tom Hiddleston was not my cup of tea for like a very long time, and then I saw some fucking car ad where he was like playing a villain, talking about why villains have hot cars.
Oh, I remember that.
And I was like, holy shit, I get it. Plus, I feel like he has a nice long neck. I feel like he'll look nice in those prosthetics.
Yeah.
And he's obviously a good actor, I mean.
Yeah.
And as Loki, he's a real arrogant prick. So I feel like he's kind of got it all going.
Yeah.
So anyway, yum. Diane Wiest for Kai Wynn. And you may know her from, let's see, everything. I mean, she's the mom in Edward Scissorhands. She was...
okay.
But also, she looks like her. Like, when I chose her, I was like, holy shit, they look kind of quite a bit alike, sort of. She's like the agoraphobic neighbor in I Am Sam. And the thing that made me think of her for this is she is like the evil queen in the 10th Kingdom, which is like
oh my God,
a mini series that I love.
Yes.
And she was
10th
so
Kingdom.
irredeemably evil. And I thought that felt good for this character. But yeah, I think she's got the chops. Again, she even has, I mean, this is the same face. Like, these are the same picture.
Yeah. Doing a little head tilt.
My child. Like, I just feel like she'd be great. I love her. She's fantastically talented. Anyway, so that's where my mind went. Who's next? Garrick?
Garrick is next.
Mads Mikkelsen.
Nice.
One, because after Hannibal, we know he can be super bisexual with a heavy listing towards the side of very gay, which I love. And I guess for me, like, my evidence is Hannibal in general. He's very good at like playing both sides and like, keeping people on their toes and like being like, no, me, I'm just a simple cooking enthusiast who's definitely not feeding you other people. Don't worry about it.
Also in Death Stranding.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Anyway, he's hot. He's Lashif in GoldenEye or whatever, Casino Royale.
Yeah.
He was in one of the Star Wars movies, Rogue One.
Oh, he was in Rogue One.
That's right.
He was
Yeah,
like the
he's the
creator
designer
of the
Death
He
Star.
invented the
porthole,
Death Star.
and he made that hole there so you could blow her up.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Thanks,
love
Mads
him.
Mikkelsen.
Hot. Next. In keeping with the actor that I picked is not Japanese, unfortunately, I went with Sandra Oh for Keiko. I feel like the Keiko that we have is like very passive, like almost all the time. So like in the episode where she pushes to like prove that O'Brien is definitely not guilty of like, or is definitely not dead and he definitely didn't drink that coffee and shit, I feel like Sandra Oh could bring that energy all the time. I just think she's extremely talented, and
Yeah,
she's a Korean Canadian, I believe, so not at all Japanese, but fantastic actress, and I
was
would love to
listening
see
to
her.
the Delta Flyers recently, and poor Garrett Wong had to like tell the writers like seasons in, like near the end of the show. So Kim is Korean, right? Because they were talking about, oh yeah, we might have a Korean person, in a future show, and he's like, but you have Kim. And like,
Yeah.
no, and the writers are like, oh yeah, no, Kim is Chinese, right? And he's like, Kim is a Korean last name.
Incredibly. That's like
that is
the
very-
Korean
That's
surname.
Smith. Like,
It's funny.
That
That's
and like
really
what
interesting.
That's
Park.
bad.
Park is also pretty common.
Well, that was a thing.
Oh,
Like that's
Voyager.
why having like Hoshi's actor, who's like Hoshi's presumably supposed to be
Korean.
Japanese, but it's played
Right.
by a Korean actor.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I'll admit, I cast Randall Park as Sulu, knowing full well he's not Japanese, but I was cheating because I just really like Randall Park. And then originally Sulu was actually supposed to be like Pan-Asian. They only decided, I think later in the movies, that fuck it, he's Japanese now.
I mean, for all we know, by the time Star Trek is airing, like a lot of like the countries could have united. We don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Anyway, Sandra Oh, she's great. If you haven't seen Killing Eve, you should check out Killing Eve. That's a fabulous show.
I've heard.
Great soundtrack. All right, up next.
Oh.
Beautiful.
For Rom, Emilio
As
Estevez.
a Rom,
because
though, and tell
he's
me
just
more.
Because he's just a dopey dweeb. Like, I just think Emilio Estevez is just a big fucking dweeb, and I
He is.
feel like that's perfect for Rom. Like,
I legit thought that was young Martin Sheen for a second. It is crazy
I mean,
how much
that's
they look alike.
isn't that what Emilio
that's a
Estevez
carbon
is?
copy.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Not as good an actor, but yes.
Oh wow. But anyway, I don't know like how good he'd be at the Moogie stuff, but I just thought good actor, kind of a dweeb.
Yeah, I buy it.
Plus, what's he done lately? I bet we could afford him. I don't know. Anyway,
When I was
next.
14 for like 6 months, my favorite movie was National Lampoon's Loaded Weapon 1.
Ha, I
Jesus
forgot about
Christ.
those movies.
I don't know that one.
It's so stupid, but like,
You found a place for your
What can I
lad.
say?
So who's this nog, Caitlin? I don't recognize him.
This is David Krumholtz, who
oh,
I got the. This comes all the way from my like childhood, like many years ago. He played. Well, he's been in a lot of shit. He's Mr. Universe or something in
okay.
Firefly or Serenity. But I first saw him when I was like 10 years old as Bernard the Elf in The Santa Claus,
He's like the head elf.
wherein
Oh, wow,
I fell
okay.
deeply in love with him. He was also in 10 Things I Hate About You. And he plays the fucking big AV nerd, and I fell deeply in love with him.
And Frankie elf-like.
I believe he's best known now for the show Numbers.
Numbers, yeah. Oh, God, and he's fucking hot in that. Anyway, David Krumholtz, I love him. He had good acting chops when he was young, so I believe that he could have done it pretty well.
He's a good cunt.
Thank you. Yeah, I love David Krumholtz. Oh,
And
God, look at how fucking he was so young and cute. I don't want to eat him up. Anyway, all right. Well,
oh, that's good.
when you need a
Ooh, that is good.
smarmy, I was thinking for Wayoon. And honestly, I feel like this could work for Brunt too. Like, I really feel like anything Jeffrey Combs has done for us, we could definitely get Aidan Gillen, best known for his work as Littlefinger in Game of Thrones.
Yeah,
I
he's
just
also got
feel-
like an equally slimy character in The Wire.
Yes,
Oh.
I've heard about that. I've never seen The Wire. I don't know how I missed it, but by not having HBO or whatever, I guess is how I missed it.
Mm.
And again, like the sort of there's a sliminess, there's a fake friendship type of thing. I mean, he's always working towards his own like
Ends.
goals, ends. Thank you, that's the word. Anyway, and again, he's pretty and I like him, so I picked Aidan Gillen. There more? Oh,
one
yes,
more.
Vic
It is
Fontaine.
Vic.
Wow.
Vic
Oh my
Fontaine.
goodness.
I give you Avery Brooks.
Wow.
Could you have found a less flattering photograph of Avery Brooks?
I thought
But
you were
he's got
saying
a
Vic
bow tie.
Fontaine. I was like, I was looking for pictures of Avery Brooks in a tuxedo.
Okay,
Could I have? Yeah, probs. But the scene when he is like singing on stage with Vic Fontaine, it's a very happy Avery Brooks. I just, I would like to see more, please.
We know how
So-
much he likes just jazzing,
Yeah.
as we saw from the captains.
All right. We're up to me.
We are.
Holy crap. I have a couple on here. I'm surprised. I thought were going to be the obvious choice that everyone would pick, so I'm a little
Oh, I'm
surprised
excited.
for some of these.
Well, this will be interesting.
We all bring fairly, I think, very different in many ways benches of actors because of our. I feel like outside of Star Trek, our interests are very varied.
That's true. I do expect most of your list to be British actors I've never heard of, Chris. Actually, my Gul Dukat was the hardest one for me to think of, just because I so associate Mark Alema with Gul Dukat and can't dissociate the two. So I have kind of one that there are probably better, but I like this idea just because of the general like delusional nature of this character and how he like misses the point so completely most of the time, and that is Will Arnett.
Oh, wow. That is great.
Oh, we have Margot and Bojack.
Yay! Yeah, so I figured that would be an interesting choice. And
like
also,
that.
like, Will Arnett can be in anything he wants.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mostly car commercials.
Yeah,
Interesting.
a lot of commercials,
So
Reese's
many.
cups, everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know why? Get that money.
Get that money. My win is the one that I assumed all of you would have said by now. So I'm glad no one has yet, because it seems so like obvious to me. Catherine O'Hara.
Ah.
Nice.
All right, I'd be open to it. I think of her as being mostly comedic, so it's. But I mean, not that I don't think she could
As it,
do
like,
serious acting. It's just that like she's so ingrained in my brain as like Kevin's mom.
Yeah, but as like, I could see, like her Schitt's Creek character.
Yeah.
I haven't really seen Schitt's Creek. That's
or her,
my bad.
or Beetlejuice.
But yeah, there's not a huge jump, I feel like, between Beetlejuice Mom and Kai Wynn. There's definitely a connection there, I think.
Yeah, just that kind of haughty, look down your nose nature of stuff that she's capable of doing. Or like
Yeah, I
any
feel like
of
she
the
could-
things in like the Christopher Guest movies. Any of her roles there, like she can translate all over the place.
Yeah, like I feel like we
she's
haven't
super
seen
talented.
Kai Wynn specifically, but I feel like she's got all the ingredients there.
She definitely does.
Well,
My
I support
Garrick, I just went for just as much flounce as possible, and that is Eddie Izzard.
Nice.
Oh my
fuck.
goodness.
That's so interesting because like I was kind of wavering between like when I got to Tim Curry, I was like I kind of got to Tim Curry by way of Eddie Izzard, which is interesting.
It's the same flavor.
Yeah.
That also, that's good.
Yeah, so I think that's an energy that I could definitely see Garrick just capitalizing on and having a lot of fun with.
Yeah, and like just something about like the gender bending aspect of an Eddie Izzard with Garrick would be very interesting.
Yeah, I would love to see more of that. I'd like to see more of that in Star Trek to begin with. So
True.
that'd be very cool.
Yes.
My Keiko is cop-outy because I saw nothing Keiko as a character that I'm just like, okay, who's an actor that I just like? So
There
I
we
just
go.
picked Selma Hayek.
Sure.
Because why not?
Why not?
Man, O'Brien's really punching up here.
Especially if he's played by Chris O'Dowd.
Oh God.
Yes! Damn.
Thinking of that episode where he's trying to hook up with Jen's friend who's like been in a horrible car accident.
Oh,
and
yeah.
she's like, I think I can do better.
Oh,
Oh,
forgot
Chris
about that
O'Dowd.
one.
So that's my Keiko. Okay, I went
Love
a direction with Rom because you all know that I find lots of problems with Rom, and I could have gone for just okay, let's have someone who I also don't care for. Like originally, I was thinking French Stewart for a while,
Oh, boy.
God.
which may have been too on the nose. But then I was like, I brought myself to the okay, what would improve on the Rom character for someone like me who wants there to be a little less like cringe dumbness that feels like it's taking advantage of people and more just lighthearted goofiness. And that is Jack McBrayer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I love it. Nice.
He's
Yeah.
so good.
That is good. That is good.
Badgie.
Yeah, Badgie.
Oh, yeah.
He's excellent on 30 Rock. He's excellent in. I think he
30 Rock.
guests a little bit in Arrested Development now and then.
He's good in Archer at one time.
He's in Bob's
sure he
Burgers
is.
a lot too.
Oh yeah, dude, he's one of the cross-dressers? Question mark? Or are they?
I'm not clear, but he also shows up as a bunch of other characters too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I enjoy him thoroughly.
Yeah.
Apparently also in Portlandia, I'm guessing.
Oh,
Based-
well, he may
That
have
would
just
make
been at
sense.
a show about
That's
it.
true,
you
I know.
Yeah,
But-
who isn't on
but-
Portlandia?
Yeah.
Or he might
true.
be a
I think you
producer
can
on it or
safely
something.
assume he's been in Portlandia.
Yeah.
Just given
yeah.
his circles.
Yeah. For my Nog, I actually went child actor because it just made sense. Because, Nog kind of grows throughout, and who else can grow and not be an entirely terrible child actor who normally I don't like, but normally I would enjoy Gaten Matarazzo.
Oh, he's
Oh,
great.
okay.
He's from Stranger Things. I think the character is Dustin? Is that the
Dustin,
name?
yep. That sounds right.
Yeah, and I think he is just a solid child actor, and he does a
He's
great
great.
job with the role.
Yeah.
I could see him doing a great Nog.
Definitely.
Yeah.
My Wayoon I'm very proud of because, Jeffrey Combs is just so versatile that he can show up in anything and just be this chameleon of a man that can play like the aloof weirdness of a Wayoon and all this thing. And I thought to myself, who else can do something like so versatile and yet so weird is Madeline Kahn.
Oh, wow.
Ah, that's good.
Hell
Interesting.
She
yeah.
would bring such energy
Yeah.
and such like weird body language to Wayoon that I'm just here like saying like, man, I love you, Jeffrey Combs, but
For a second, the way you were talking about it, I thought for sure that you were going to be casting Doug Jones.
I thought for sure you were going to be casting Brad Dourif.
Oh, that's a
I've
good
been
one too.
trying to find a place for Brad Dourif, and I haven't found a good place for Brad Dourif.
Well, interesting. Well, we'll stay tuned.
I think you've thought of a couple of places for Brad Dourif.
Ugh.
We love
No,
you,
not
Brad
me,
Dourif.
Ames. I mean,
No, I understood.
All right, and finally, I kind of wanted to do the same thing I did with Rom with Vic, in that I'm not a big Vic fan. I find his songs to be too fucking long, and his character to be kind of creepy. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna fix that by making like the least creepy, most fun, like singing, dancing man. And I went with Weird Al.
oh my god!
Oh, that actually works.
yes.
I love it.
Like
Take
literally
money.
my
Wow.
notes when I was like, thinking of like, who else is like, a singer actor I know. Forget, I erased who I originally named because then I just wrote, oh no, oh shit, the answer is Weird Al.
Nice.
Yes, it is. Yep.
And he's
There
like,
you go.
honestly, not possible to make him creepy or weird. You know what I mean? Like
Ironically.
he's just so like wholesome somehow. It
Yeah.
would get rid of all the creepy Vic vibes.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind him showing up in my holodeck and being like, hey Kira, how you doing?
Yeah. Ring-a-ding-ding. All right. Well, I will take us home, as the kids say. All right. So, I focused on an aspect of Ducat, which, as Ames brought up,
Neck?
is the
Is it neck?
swagger.
Ooh, the swagger, yeah.
Ooh, the
Now, does he add
swag.
anything else? I don't know, but I think you might like my choice anyway.
Oh,
my
my
god.
No,
Jeff
that's
Goldblum,
perfect. Because
perfect.
honestly,
Okay.
he's kind of a creep too. Like I could buy the creepiness.
Yep.
I love the image you picked from Jurassic
Oh,
Park with the nip
Had
out.
to. Had to.
That is
I think that's a very gold
It's a
Ducat move.
prosthetic nip.
Yeah. We've actually seen Kai win because I also said Catherine
All
O'Hara.
right, good.
Nice.
I wasn't coming out of left
Damn.
field then.
Nope. I had to hide my reaction.
Wow. Wow.
Garrick.
Oh man.
Gene
Oh,
Wilder.
I love that.
Wow, I love it.
Because I don't know, I was thinking like mostly of his Willy Wonka, where he's like, what's
Yeah.
he up to? What's his scheme?
Yep.
And I thought
Why is
that
he
could
doing a
translate
forward
nicely.
roll?
Yeah,
Garrick would do
why
a forward
not?
roll.
He would. For Keiko, I mined the world of British sci-fi again and brought in Naoko Mori from Torchwood.
She's beautiful, my
Okay.
goodness.
She's like a techie person too, so I feel like that translates to teacher
Yeah.
pretty handily.
Botanist.
I forgot about Torchwood. It's good.
It was an okay show. Rom, I brought in an old friend of the show, Martin Short.
Yay!
Nice. I like it.
I gotta admit, I actually have a lot of comedians on here, though I did not do it on purpose, like
because of
Carl
their-
did.
Comedians have versatility.
They do,
They do.
exactly.
Like you always say, like, I think I mentioned when Jake and I watched Breaking Bad, that Bryan Cranston just shows up out of nowhere and owns
Yep.
the whole town. And
Yep.
he's normally such a goofy, weird guy.
Yeah, I mean,
But,
before that, he was
comedians can do
Hal
it.
from Malcolm in the Middle, for Christ's sakes. So, Nog. Nog, it's a very specific era of an actor. It is Goonies Sean Astin.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I see that.
Yeah, child actor who, his character wants something more out of life and goes on an adventure and loses a life. Well, not that part, but close enough. For Wayoon, what I really focused on was the only characters Wayoon actually likes are the founders, right?
Mm-hmm.
Anyone else he's liking because the founders tell him to. And I especially thought of like, whenever he's dealing with whatever Kardashian's in charge at the moment, there's this sort of, I actually despise you, but I have to smile energy, which gave me big Mark Proksch vibes.
I love it.
Oh, good.
And for Vic, my knee jerk was just to do the modern day lounge singer
Boobles?
Michael Bublé, but I thought of something better. Actor, Trek fan of crooner music.
Yep, I
Seth
had the same
MacFarlane.
thought.
That's a good
Oh,
I had
my
the same
goodness.
thought.
That's
I
it.
like that
I
idea.
love it. I'm glad you
That's
went
great.
there.
Yeah. And that is me.
Oh, that's so fun. These
I
are
like
too
that-
fun.
I'm embarrassed
Great.
that I didn't think of Seth MacFarlane. That's such a great choice.
He actually, it took me a while to come up with him, to be honest.
Dude, I can't deal with what this cat is doing.
One of the cats has fallen asleep on her arm, and it's very precious.
It's
Aw,
the cutest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, these are a delight. Although I don't think any of us topped Carl's Vic.
Well, the
Yeah.
Muppets always win.
Yep.
Well, I don't know. Weird Al as Vic is a fucking close. I
That is
mean,
very
Yeah,
close
That's
to
Weird
very
Al.
good.
Thank you. I was so
Yeah.
happy. And then
Weird
I
Al
found the
could beat
perfect
the
picture
Muppets.
eventually.
You did.
yes.
So check
great
it out on the
choice.
blog.
Yes.
yeah.
I think it's because Weird Al is almost a Muppet. So
That's true, yeah.
yeah. Well, that was a fun little time. Thank you for
Yeah,
joining
it
for
sure
that.
was.
Carl,
Yeah,
thank you for
Carl.
coming, and thank you for breaking open the dam of Muppets, because now
Nah.
Great. I'm glad to be of service.
game is on.
Who will Yoda play?
Ooh.
Well, cool.
Venegas.
Yeah, so that was this week. Thank you for joining us, everyone, and catch us next week where we'll talk about another episode of Star Trek: The Discovery in Saints of Imperfection,
Oh.
and we'll also be covering our Voyager fantasy casting. So don't want to miss that.
You do
Our Voyager Fancy Feast casting. What did you just say?
Fantasy casting.
Oh, okay.
That's what the fucking thing's called. Jesus.
I know.
Until then, you can find us on the internet. SoundCloud, SSHB Podcast, SSHBpodcast.com, Tumblr, SSHB Podcast, Twitter, other
Blue
Twitter,
Sky.
Butterfly
Blue
Twitter.
Sky.
Butterfly Twitter, yes.
You can find us there as also SSHB Podcast. In fact, we're SSHB Podcast everywhere, including Facebook. You can also get us on Google, YouTube, that's the one.
Yeah.
Or Apple YouTube, or on any of the tubes.
Started
All the
off
tubes.
so good today.
Sound clown.
So
Went
many,
awry.
so many tubes. Find our tubes. Watch our blog on Tumblr. We like you to listen to us, and we also like to Star Trek us with you and us and me. Thank you. Me is Jake.
This has been Chris.
Me is Ames.
IR Caitlin.
Me is Carl.
Yay.
Thank you for joining us, Carl.
Yeah, thanks for joining
Thank
us,
you.
Carl.
Ring a ding ding.